The Navajo people have lived in the southwestern United States for hundreds of years, primarily in what are now Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. Their history is rich with traditions, stories, and a deep connection to the land. During the Second World War, Navajo men served proudly alongside other Americans as code talkers. Their language became a crucial tool in military communications, confounding Japanese cryptologists with its unique sounds and structure. But beyond their contributions to modern warfare, the Navajo preserve stories older than the United States itself, tales of creatures that walk between the human and animal worlds. These are the Skinwalkers, known in the Navajo tongue as Yeshu. Skinwalkers are said to be medicine men or women who have turned to dark arts. They abandon healing and embrace the consumption of flesh. Their abilities allow them to shift into animals, tracking their victims silently and unseen. Parents warn children that a skinwalker can take the form of a coyote, a wolf, or even a deer appearing at night or during the day. They are feared for their cunning strength and immortality. Ancient rituals and chants are said to protect from them, but the fear never fully disappears. Many of the stories passed down recount not only the danger, but the eerie intelligence in these creatures. Their presence in Navajo lands reminds people that even the familiar desert can hide shadows. The connection between traditional belief and modern military bases is no coincidence. Many installations are built on lands formerly inhabited by native people. The intersection of history and folklore has created the backdrop for modern encounters. Soldiers stationed at these bases are often unfamiliar with the stories, yet they come face to face with inexplicable phenomena. During patrols and training exercises, men and women have described seeing animals move in impossible ways, hearing voices in the night, or sensing intelligence in shadows that should have been inanimate. In these stories, the environment plays a role. The vast open deserts and dense forests create spaces where imagination and fear intertwine. Lights from patrol vehicles flash across terrain that has seen generations of human activity. Soldiers learn to trust their instincts, but even trained eyes and ears are sometimes insufficient. This chapter will explore the origins of the Navajo belief in skinwalkers and their relevance to modern military life. Fort Defiance, Arizona provides a geographic anchor, a base close to historical Navajo settlements that has seen both training exercises and the echoes of older tales. It is here that the old world of myth intersects with modern military discipline and technology. Soldiers might know the terrain, but not the history or the creatures said to inhabit it. The Navajo code talkers represent one side of the people's contribution to military efforts. The Skinwalker represents another side, a reminder that even on the front lines, the unknown may lurk at the edges of perception. Learning about the Navajo background and these ancient beliefs prepares us to understand the stories that follow. Each chapter will examine encounters at a different base with unique terrain challenges and personnel experiences. Yet the connective tissue remains the same: the desert, the forests, and the lingering presence of legend. Every soldier carries training equipment, but some lessons come from listening to stories passed down across generations. The fear is real, whether based in folklore or in encounters. The line between reality and legend can blur, especially at night when patrols stretch across isolated areas. Lights of vehicles illuminate only small portions of the desert, leaving the rest in darkness. Shadows can appear animated, and noises can seem to speak. Soldiers describe sensing that the land itself watches them. In many ways, the Navajo concept of balance and respect for unseen forces is a guide to surviving in such conditions. This chapter lays the foundation for understanding the psychology of encountering a skinwalker when one is unprepared or unaware. The stories that follow are not merely entertainment. They are accounts of events that took place in real bases with real people who responded in ways dictated by both training and fear. Their experiences echo the ancient warnings from Navajo elders and illustrate how folklore can intersect with modern life. Fort Hood, Texas is one of the largest military installations in the United States. The sprawling base includes deserts, grasslands, and wooded areas, making it a perfect setting for encounters with wildlife and unexplained phenomena. A patrol unit led by Staff Sergeant Cole Ramirez was conducting a night watch along the perimeter fence. The terrain was dry and open, but shadows from trees and equipment created pockets of darkness. The men were experienced, yet they were alert to every sound. Suddenly, a figure appeared about 30 feet away. Standing upright, it resembled an old man with long hair and worn clothing. The patrol team raised their weapons instinctively but hesitated. The figure was not making aggressive moves. It simply stood and stared. Then, in a blink, it changed. The legs bent and became the form of a coyote. Its movements were too fluid, too intelligent to be an ordinary animal. Ramirez and his team froze. The figure trotted closer, then stopped and looked directly at them. Its eyes reflected the dim light, giving an impression of awareness almost human in quality. The soldiers debated whether to call this in, but the base protocol discouraged reports of strange sightings. They were trained to manage situations with standard operating procedures, not folklore, yet this experience defied protocol and training. Every sound became amplified in the silent night. The coyote shifted its stance multiple times, appearing taller or crouched low, like a predator stalking prey. The soldiers reported hearing guttural noises that resembled speech but could not be deciphered. The team eventually retreated to their vehicles, maintaining eyes on the figure which had disappeared and reappeared across the fence, as if moving faster than humanly possible. The encounter lasted only minutes, but the impression on the patrol was lasting. Even after completing their shift, each soldier reported a sense of unease and hyper-awareness. Their subconscious remembered patterns that did not exist in nature. Ramirez later consulted a local elder who had knowledge of Skinwalker legends. He was warned that such creatures are not always visible in a conventional sense, and that they may manipulate perception. The lesson was clear: respecting the land and its history matters even for modern soldiers. Fort Hood provides the stage for the intersection of fear, folklore, and military discipline. The stories recounted here are similar to those told by Navajo families about figures that appear to shift between human and animal forms. The men experienced a modern version of an ancient warning. The presence of these figures in military narratives often correlates with isolation, exhaustion, and exposure to extreme environments. The desert landscape of Fort Hood allows shadows to play tricks on the mind. Yet the uniformity of reports across different soldiers suggests there is more than imagination at work. Ramirez and his squad would later describe feeling a presence even when the figure was no longer visible. Their training could not explain the instinctive reactions to the creature or the sensation of being observed. While many dismissed folklore as superstition, the soldiers found themselves in a position where belief and experience collided. The night patrol concluded with heightened vigilance and a mutual agreement not to report the events officially to command. Yet word spread quietly among peers. The cautionary tales of skinwalkers began circulating within the unit. The desert night at Fort Hood became a testing ground, not only of military skill, but of human response to phenomena that cannot easily be quantified. It also illustrates a broader theme that will recur in subsequent chapters. The interaction of soldiers with unknown entities often mirrors the ancient warnings passed down through Native American traditions. Fort Carson, Colorado is known for its rugged terrain and extensive training areas. During a field exercise, a unit led by Private First Class Ethan Ward was using thermal imaging devices to monitor animal activity in the surrounding area. The night was cold and clear. Stars reflected off the snow patches on the ground, creating an eerie clarity. Suddenly, the team noticed a figure resembling a deer standing upright on two legs. At first, the shape seemed normal, but it began moving unnaturally. Its gait was deliberate, almost purposeful. The soldiers froze, attempting to analyze the situation. Ward observed the figure make strange vocalizations, guttural and harsh, yet faintly human. The team debated whether it was a hallucination induced by fatigue or stress, but multiple soldiers confirmed seeing the same behavior. The creature then dropped to all fours, sprinted across the field, then disappeared behind a cluster of pine trees. The team pursued cautiously, but found nothing. The thermal scopes registered heat signatures inconsistent with a typical deer. Ward later recounted the incident to base intelligence officers who expressed skepticism, yet documented the event for pattern tracking. This encounter highlights the difficulty of distinguishing wildlife from possible shapeshifters. The legend of the skinwalker in Navajo tradition includes the ability to assume animal forms, often mimicking normal fauna to hunt or stalk victims. The Colorado Rockies provide natural cover and terrain that support such possibilities. The soldiers reflected on the experience and felt lingering unease for days afterwards. Their training did not prepare them for the sensation of being observed by an entity that was neither fully animal nor fully human. Psychological stress may have played a role, yet the uniformity of reports suggests additional factors. The field exercise demonstrated how geography, isolation, and folklore can converge. The men returned to their barracks, discussing the event quietly with trusted peers. The pattern of upright animals exhibiting abnormal intelligence is consistent across multiple installations, yet remains anecdotal. The Fort Carson story adds to the emerging evidence that these encounters are more than coincidental. A mixture of desert or mountainous terrain combined with late-night patrols appears to increase the likelihood of sightings. The soldiers involved agreed to maintain discretion, respecting both military hierarchy and the cultural sensitivity of the tales surrounding skinwalkers. Fort Irwin, California encompasses extensive desert training areas and is often utilized during wildfire responses. In 2021, members of the California National Guard were assigned to manage traffic during the Dixie Fire. The unit led by Lieutenant Jason Holt heard a series of screams in the distance. Initially interpreted as civilians in distress, the screams seemed unnervingly similar to human cries, yet echoed back their own words. The lieutenant called out repeatedly, but the response was identical in tone and phrasing. Not an echo, but precise mimicry. The team regrouped in vehicles for safety. Each member experienced a mix of fear and confusion. Typical explanations included wildlife displacement, heat exhaustion, and stress. Yet none could rationalize the exact repetition of phrases or the timing of sounds. The incident occurred near a previously inhabited area with known Native American ties. Elders had long warned of entities capable of imitation and manipulation. This encounter illustrates the overlap of modern emergencies with ancient beliefs. The mimicry reported parallels, folklore descriptions of skinwalkers capable of psychological influence. Soldiers noted that avoidance was the safest option. Engaging or investigating could provoke unpredictable behavior. The Fort Irwin experience underscores how environmental stress events and human perception intersect in ways that can be interpreted as supernatural. The desert itself amplifies sensory input. The National Guard members reflected on the incident weeks later, acknowledging the profound effect the event had on morale and situational awareness. While the immediate danger may have been minimal, the psychological imprint persisted. The story reinforces that encounters with unknown entities are not isolated to training exercises. Alone in expansive environments, soldiers may witness events that challenge logic and evoke ancient cultural memories. Awareness of history and local folklore can provide context and reduce anxiety, though the unexplained remains unexplained. The lessons of Fort Irwin continue to resonate with those who patrol and train in remote areas. Quantico, Virginia houses the U.S. Marine Corps training facilities and a sprawling wooded west side used for field exercises. MP Corporal Ryan Hayes was conducting routine night patrols when he observed abnormal movement in a creek bottom. A deer-like figure approached, then began smashing its head against a tree repeatedly. Its skull and antlers were damaged, yet the creature remained upright. Eventually it dropped to all fours, turned its gaze directly toward Hayes, and spoke in a clear human voice declaring, "I know you are there." The corporal froze, overwhelmed by fear and disbelief. The creature then walked away, leaving splintered wood, and traces of blood behind. Hayes retreated to a lit area using a shotgun for safety. The following day, he retrieved equipment with a fellow soldier, but avoided the location at night thereafter. The incident was later discussed with a Navajo elder who cautioned about discussing skinwalker encounters too openly. Yet Hayes found that sharing the story helped him process the experience. His account is notable for the combination of animal behavior and clear verbal communication. The Quantico incident reinforces themes from other bases. Encounters occur in remote areas at night. They involve animal forms that exhibit intelligence beyond natural expectation and may communicate with humans in disturbing ways. The interplay of fear exhaustion and environmental factors magnifies the experience. Reporting is often informal, as military culture may not officially recognize such phenomena. Yet soldiers maintain vigilance and adapt behaviors based on these encounters. Hayes continues to respect the land and the warnings passed down from indigenous traditions, acknowledging that even trained personnel are vulnerable to unexplained influences. The story concludes with the reminder that history, culture, and military life intersect. and that some aspects of the natural world remain mysterious.